was on YouTube, and one of the guys that I follow, Nicholas Cole, he's a ghostwriter and tries to get everybody to write. And I think writing is a great skill. Everybody should have it before and after AI. It's something all humans should learn how to do. But he was posting about AI and the impact of AI on writing. Long story short, I will put the link to the post and the comments so you can read for yourself down in the description below. But that prompted this video, which is 5 predictions that I am making about how AI is going to impact humans. Think about it. This isn't a video to scare you or anything.
Bring it on.
When it came to the Industrial Revolution, everybody thought that nobody was ever going to work again and that machines were going to take every single job on the planet. And so humans just had to adjust back then and will adjust now.
No more lies.
It is simply 5 things that we won't actually be doing anymore. So these are skills that humans might risk losing. Number 1 is losing resourcefulness. So street smarts are a smart.
Methinks that's a fail.
And it has nothing to do with IQ. It is common sense at its finest. It is survival 101. Now, the best example I can give of this is that when I was younger, if you needed directions to go somewhere, you had to MapQuest it, meaning that you, on your computer, showed beginning and end, and then you would get the directions, you'd print them out, and so you'd be in the car and you'd have the paper next to you, and if for whatever reason you got lost on the way to where you were going, then you had to figure out how to readjust.
That's crazy.
With the way that technology works now, your apps are automatically recalculating your route and you never have to figure it out for yourself. The rest of us had to figure out how to get back to what the paper said. Transition this to 2026 and beyond. AI is going to take away some of those experiences that people have, meaning that you're going to be less resourceful because you're going to be put in less situations that force you to be resourceful. It's a skill, it's a muscle like anything else that anybody does or uses. AI is just going to impact how much of your resourcefulness you have to grow and develop on your own.
I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot today.
My second prediction is that it's going to override personal experience with the prevailing narrative. So what do I mean by that? I, like everybody else, got very curious about what the heck the Epstein files were and all of that. This video is absolutely not about that. However, there was one interesting thing that I went to search because Wayfair is a furniture company. And there was a very strange story about how Wayfair had lamps named after missing children. Now, whatever, right? Whatever. I'm going to plead the fifth on this one in the sense that I was more like, how did Wayfair actually explain that? I was definitely more curious about how they explained what they considered a coincidence to the general public. So I go in, Gemini and I say, hey, like, what did Wayfair say about X, Y, and Z? And it came back and told me that it was an inventory glitch in their system. So 1, it was a naming convention glitch, and 2, it was a system glitch when it came to inventory.
You're being really sus. Just thought I would let you know.
I was just reading this and I was like, so you're defining the word glitch wrong in the sense of if it's something that happens more than once, that's not a glitch, that's a logic pattern that is flawed, for 1. But 2, I have been a CRM designer for 10 years in the sense that I've built these systems. I've built an inventory system for a food supplier. So I actually know what a glitch in a system is, because a glitch is something that happens once with an unforeseen consequence. But then what you do is you go back and you fix it so that never happens again. But if anything happens more than once, that is a logic flaw. So this is why I'm telling you the story, because I went in search for this very strange reason where I was like, that doesn't make any sense. And that's not how technical systems work. And I only know that from 10 years of experience building technical systems. Obviously, all of that is very controversial, but if we actually listen to what I'm saying about the story, Gemini presented this story as the prevailing narrative of this is what everybody believes, and I was supposed to believe it hook, line, and sinker. Now, I personally know that what they said was not possible. Literally not possible. That's not how those things are designed. It's not how logic works. It's not how technology works, because technology only does what you tell it to do. somebody was lying.
Use your common sense.
And so it was very interesting though, because when I was pushing back on AI saying like, you do realize that I personally know what you're saying is not possible. And it was very interesting that it was sticking to the narrative trying to override my personal experience with building inventory systems. My prediction is that the prevailing narrative of the time, whatever it is going to override personal experience. And that's really sad for me right now, and also kind of funny from the story I told you, but we will see how that plays out in real life later. My third prediction is that unfortunately humans are going to lose some creativity. The same with resourcefulness. Creativity is a muscle like anything else, and if you don't use it, then you lose it. And so when it comes to the loss of creativity, that'll be really sad for me personally. I will never lose my creativity. I will always force myself to come up with the first answer and then have AI expand on whatever I come up with myself. But unfortunately, the better AI gets, people are going to go to AI first for the idea and then expand from there. So what I'll say to this one is this is a prediction I'm kind of sad about, and I really hope anybody listening to this video, if you're a creative person, always use AI to expand on your own creativity, and don't lean on AI to be creative for you. If you're not a creative person, I can kind of understand why you're asking AI to be creative for you. However, I will also say that that is something you can practice. You can practice being creative just like you can practice being resourceful. You just have to put yourself in situations where you have to be creative, and then you'll become more creative. So,
oh my God, what a brilliant idea.
My fourth prediction is the loss of critical thinking and taking information at face value. This is kind of similar to my second prediction. However, this one's a little different in the sense of my example is I used to be a gymnast, and so I love watching NCAA women's college gymnastics. And I was having a conversation with an AI platform that's a research tool. I'm not going to name which one because obviously all these codes will get better with time. However, I was having a conversation with it about results from conference championships. Now, you don't have to understand any of that, but simply what I will say is that it was giving me answers. However, it was mixing the 2026 results with the 2025 results and said the second place finisher was somebody who had retired, who I know retired the previous year. So I was like, what? And I knew the first place person was the first place finisher from this year. So it was actually mixing the 2026 and the 2025 results. I called it on it. I was like, I know that what you just said was wrong because that person is retired and is now a coach. And it was so funny because it was like, oh yeah, you're right. I was just hallucinating. I was like, no, that's not hallucinating. That is factually incorrect. That is you doing incorrect research. That is not hallucinating. Hallucinating is when you think you're right, but you're really wrong. That was you just poorly researching, because I can go do the research and also come up with the wrong answer, but I don't get to claim hallucination. That's bad research.
That escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
So one thing I will say is that the fourth prediction is the loss of critical thinking, because people are just going to take that information at face value and assume because they asked the question, that's them doing research. Now, as a person who built technical solutions, I can promise you this is a muscle that I had to build, because when I was building technical solutions, I would always come up with the first answer and then have to try to disprove that there was a better answer. I had to keep looking for the best possible answer. The reason for that is not all answers are created equal, and not all answers meet a business's business requirements. Taking information at face value is also kind of a problem that was before AI, but I think my prediction is that AI is going to make this problem worse. My fifth and final prediction is losing distinction between fiction and reality. Now, this one has a funny story with it because my mom is actually testing my niece. So it's her granddaughter. So a couple generations apart, but my mom will show videos to my niece and say, okay, is this real or is this AI? And she doesn't get it right a lot of the time. And so the the hardest part about AI becoming more realistic, and there's obviously things that aren't realistic, right? Like if you're making videos about dinosaurs, we all know dinosaurs don't exist. So you can say like, wow, that looks realistic, but we all know inherently that dinosaurs are extinct, so they don't exist. But when it comes to children, I feel kind of bad because they are going to grow up in a world where they're not going to know unless somebody tells them what is real and what is fiction. And so the hard part about AI getting better is that it's going to be harder and harder for the younger generations who grow up with AI around them all the time to distinguish between reality and fiction. Now, for me, being older and having grown up without AI, even, I didn't even get the internet until I was 10. Oh my God, I'm aging myself in this video. I'm not that old, by the way.
All right, if you say so.
But my point is that I know the difference between being able to use the internet and not being able to use the internet. And some kids nowadays are not going to know the difference between using AI and not using AI. And so if you're, in your mid 20s or mid 30s and even your 40s and you're able to distinguish between the two, count yourself lucky, because my fifth prediction is that it's going to be pretty hard to distinguish between reality and fiction in the coming years, especially as AI gets better at what it does. These are my 5 predictions of what AI is going to challenge the human race to hang on to.
Alrighty then.
Or have to be conscious about in terms of not losing resourcefulness, not losing creativity, and not losing critical thinking. Never take information at face value, even if it's correct information. There is always more than one source. And one rule I live by is, how do you know what the best answer is unless you know them all? I highly recommend you adopt that. It'll save you a lot of time with bad information.
Now we're getting into real territory here.
So I hope this has helped. I hope that I didn't scare you. This was supposed to be kind of a fun way of looking in the crystal ball and seeing what I saw. But especially in terms of technology, this one, the writing is on the wall.
Doesn't anyone notice this? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills.
Tell me your predictions down below in the comments. I'm excited to hear them. And subscribe to this channel if you like this video. And don't forget to hype the video. It's a new YouTube thing where you can actually get the video shown to more people if you thought this video was fun and insightful. So have a great rest of your day.